Jon Jones, it's probably the best fighter that ever lives. Talk about if I have to choose someone in his prime that I put in the Coliseum hand to hand, I think it would be Jon Jones. It's hard to deny that. However, nobody beats time, and Tom Aspinall is on a hell of a run now. So it's to see how they get a match.
GSP shared his thoughts on the potential showdown between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. And let's just say, he didn't hold back. Naturally, the MMA world exploded with reactions. Fighters from both the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions chimed in. So what does this all mean for the potential Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall showdown? GSP's comments might be controversial, but they've added fuel to a fire that fans are dying to see burn in the Oku Tagon.
Here's a question with Aspinall. What happens with Aspinall in the second round?
I guess
you want to talk about a guy who sprints.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who's fast twitch. Aspinall's one of the fastest heavyweights. He might be the fastest heavyweight in the history of the sport.
But he's the same height as me, if not an inch taller, but thick.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, you're a lot thicker than I would expect. Yeah. And the speed, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, that's the danger. But again, grappling, he's a black belt. But Jon is fucking...
It's different.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. They got to fight. But if they don't ever fight, we'll never know.
Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. No, Jon Jones is the GOAT in my book. He's one of the best. And I recently saw Aspinall fight for the first time recently. And he's a great fighter. And he's a great champion. But I think it'll be tough for me to ever say that anybody will beat Jon Jones until it happens.
It's a very intriguing fight. If I had to put money on it, it'd be super hard for me to bet against a guy like Jones, just because I know the mindset that he comes in with. Not saying Aspinall couldn't get it done because of all those physical gifts that he has, but dog, betting against a guy like that, who, if he gets you on the ground, that's just a bad night.
You fought Jon Jones back in the day. People are
why you only bringing up my losses?
People are all talking about Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. How do you see that fight going? You got Tom or you got Jon?
Man, I don't think there's nobody on this planet that can beat Jon Jones because I was in there with him. I was at my best, and I've never lost a fight at my best until Jon Jones. And no disrespect to Tom Aspinall, but he a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think he's probably second best out there, but I don't see him.
You think Jon Jones finishes though?
I think Jon Jones is just a real smart fighter. I heard something like he want to take 6 months before he fight Aspinall. I think it's because he want to study him. He want to break him down. Right. Jon Jones ain't no fool. He's probably one of the smartest fighters out there. I say he like Neo. He's Neo of MMA.
Do you think the Aspinall-Jones fight happens?
It's got to happen. I was sitting next to Tom the other week at the UFC in London and talking to him about it.
How do you think that plays out if they fight?
I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. The one thing I do think Jon Jones has got the best in the world and the best ever is his fight IQ. He has a perfect game plan to beat that person. As much as I love Tom and I want Tom to win, I couldn't pick against Jon Jones. It's just something I couldn't do.
Jon is a concern. They don't know what to do with me if I'm not champion. And if Tom beats me and he doesn't give me a rematch, or they won't guarantee me a rematch, what do they plan to do with me? I gained an understanding to the inside of Jon. If that in fact is accurate information, that Jon is worried about an immediate rematch and doesn't believe he's going to get it, can look at the board and see that he's 36 and on his way out and this guy is 20 something on his way up. And he even questions why they left the belt with him, to the point that he's saying if they knew what to do with me not as champion, they'd have already done it. That's very objective. So is it as simple as guaranteeing Jon a rematch? Very interesting point.
What advantages do you see that he has over Jon Bones Jones?
I think hand speed. But what Jon does very well, and what we saw in the Stipe fight, is Jon will occupy your hands. So Stipe's one of his best weapons was always his jab. So you saw Jon switch to southpaw, lead hand occupy, which left Stipe with one punch, which was cross. So he was timing the cross to pull off and then was adding on. So I think when you break that fight down, I actually talked to Tom on Monday. We were kind of going back and forth a little bit on some of the game planning things. You can't be in that B range and just kind of get snake charmed by Jon. Let him grab your hands, let him dictate the pace, let him dictate the rhythm. You have to be hyper aggressive in those positions, and I think that's what Tom would have to do in that fight.
Fuck. Tom Aspinall? God damn. It's like You risk going down as the, no matter what, you don't have to fight again. Greatest of all time, people will say that. You're the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time, Jon Jones. Or you risk it, go fight Tom Aspinall, possibly lose, and then it's like, he was the greatest. Then they're saying, yeah, but he wasn't in his prime, so you're still the greatest of all time. But are you? Like, what do you do? Just completely avoid that fight?
I don't think Jon Jones is thinking that way. I think Jon Jones looks at every human and I could fuck them up.
If that was the case, you don't think he would be saying after Stipe, I'm gonna fucking destroy Tom?
Yeah, maybe he gets older and he's got all this weight on him now, and who knows, some injuries could. Maybe not though. I could not be thinking.
Dude, I bet he looks at Tom. Maybe not though. It's just tough to say, man.
Definitely
maybe not.
possible.
Definitely possible. Maybe not.
He keeps saying he doesn't want Aspinall.
Aspinall need that fight. I don't need it. When you look at it, pretty much true. There's nothing that he's going to make winning that fight if it's not money. But for Aspinall, that will be everything.
Would you rather see him face Aspinall or would you rather see him face Pereira?
Aspinall will be a more challenging fight because Aspinall respond to a ground game better than Pereira. Aspinall will respond better in wrestling than Pereira. He can do whatever he wants.
Some say Aspinall can this, can that. However, it all comes down to experience. Jon Jones is an experienced guy, so I think he will beat Aspinall.
Now, do you think Aspinall beats him?
Yeah, I would pick him. Like, I would go 55% him. Obviously, it's not gonna be a landslide. Like, we're going against Jon Jones. He's a legend. He's got all the weapons.
But I think Tom Aspinall has the speed, the athleticism, and the power to give Jon Jones problems. You know, Tom Aspinall is still young and he's still getting better. But I think this version of Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall can beat him. I feel comfortable saying that. Just because you have somebody who's going to take the fight to Jon Jones and not be scared.
I'm not here to run the risk of someone making a name off of me. Shogun had to fight Jon Jones back in the day. Rampage had to fight Jon Jones back in the day. Those guys were big names that fought him as the young guy that was the champion. And he made a name off of all those legends. So that by the time I got to him, he was a legend. He was a legend. Already in 2016, 15, he was already a legend in 5 years. But that was only because he had beaten all those great guys before. It really is the tale of sport, right? The tale of entertainment. Before Michael Jordan could become Michael Jordan, he had to go through the Detroit Pistons, who were winning in the 80s. He had to beat the Boston Celtics to get to the finals, who were going back and forth with the Lakers. The old guard has
interim champ and champ who is in the position to pick. The only reason why we get here is because the organization makes everything happen. They organize everything. But now, I don't think the blame should be on either Jon or Aspinall.
So what does this all mean for the potential Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall showdown? GSP's comments might be controversial, but they've added fuel to a fire that fans are dying to see burn in the Oku Tagon. Jisoo could be one of the biggest heavyweight fights in UFC history.